3D Exposed Brains Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to be doing another Halloween design for Halloween 2016. This one is going to be just sort of a simple looking just girl, but then you can take her hair off and you can see her brains underneath. So it looks like it's innocent and not weird and Halloweeny until you take the hair off and then you see the brains underneath, which is just, it's something that's so unexpected that it just kind of cracks me up whenever I see it. And it's got sort of a cartoony feel to it, which is also kind of lends to that innocence that you don't expect to see something Halloween and gross coming out of it, which is kind of fun. This is actually the first Halloween design that I created this year. I made it a long time ago. I love Halloween, and so I started thinking of Halloween stuff so far in advance. And I had a blast making it, and I've not been stopping my Halloween vibe ever since, and it's been a great time. So I hope you like this one, and don't forget to click subscribe to my future videos as well. So I'm going to start with an overlay of black acrylic across the entire nail, and I'm going to try to keep this relatively thin just because between her hair and her head and the rest of it and all the magnets, it's going to end up getting relatively thick, so I want to make sure that it starts out nice and thin, and so that's just going to prevent a bulkiness in the end. But I am going to add a layer of clear acrylic just to give it some strength. I always do this on my nails, or almost always, so that they have, like I said, strength. Clear acrylic is going to be stronger than a color, and it's also going to protect it and keep it vibrant. So now I'm going to add just file it with a 180 grit file to remove any bulk, and then refine it with a padded buffer just to make sure there's no scratches left behind. And now I'm going to be sculpting out the shape of her face. And because I am doing her face about my skin tone, which is extremely pale, I'm going to start with white, just because if you were to go with a cover pink over black, it's not going to actually cover. It's going to be sort of bruised looking, or kind of like a gray muddy color. But if you had white underneath it, it's like a clear slate, and you can start fresh with your colors on top of that. So that's what I did with white, just to make sure that it showed up nice and appropriately colored. And now I'm going to be adding her hair above that or her brains above that with red. I'm going to add the bead down, and then I'm going to pick up a little magnet and set that inside. And then add just a little bit more acrylic over the top of the magnet. Make sure it isn't much so that it doesn't really interfere with the strength of your magnet. Just enough so that you cannot see the little silver circle. And I'm going to repeat that for the other side. So add the shape of her hair. Sorry, I went off camera. Sometimes my hands just move in the wrong spot. Add the little magnet in there, cover that up with a little layer of clear acrylic, and now I'm going to be adding her skin tone, like I said, with cover pink. And you want to make sure it's more of a beige tone cover pink. Some of them are very, very pink. You don't want it to be, like I said, an odd color. You want it to actually look like skin. But you could make her, you can give her any color skin you want. She could be green for all I care. And then wrap plastic wrap around her and add 2 more magnets over the other 2 that were there. So there's 4 magnets total. So 2 inside her hair and 2 inside her brains. So once you have those in place, you're going to be sculpting her hair over the saran wrap. So you want to have the magnets on there so that you know that the hair fits once it's set and you take the hair off and you can put it on. And so the magnets are going to make sure that it's in the right place later on. So your magnets need to be in the right place now. So you got to make sure that they're in there. And the magnets are going to find the other magnet that's in there, so you can just sort of drop them and they'll find the right place to be, which is nice and easy that way. But then just add her hair, and you can give her any hairstyle you like. Once again, I almost sort of fashioned her off of me. My hair's not quite as dark as that, but I also gave her braids, where I wear my hair in braids all the time, so I thought that was appropriate. But you could give her a bun if you'd like. You can just leave her hair kind of short and like a pixie cut, or really anything. I like braids. I'm a fan of. So then I added her braids. And so I'm just going to take that brown down, and then once I got it in, I'm just going to fan out the bottom like where the ponytail is. These are short braids, unlike mine that reach down quite long, but I didn't necessarily need this to be exactly fashioned after myself, just sorta. And make sure you can't see any of the red at this point. You should totally and completely cover up all of the red acrylic that is from her brains underneath. So then once the acrylic is set, you can take it off, and the magnets are going to hold it on there pretty good, so you just have to gently pry it off. And I'm going to be adding more acrylic and refining the shape. So this is where I'm going to be adding the really braid appearance. And also, because the magnets do have a thickness to them, this is going to have to be relatively thick. The magnets I have are very, very thin, but it's still a little thicker than I probably would have made the hair if it was just making it off the top of my head. But now I'm going to be adding the braids. I'm just going to add a section going back and forth and back and forth. If you ever look at braid nail art, you can see it, just regular flat nail art. It's basically the same process when you're doing it with the acrylic, just making it all braidy looking. And then add a little bit more to the ends of the hair and a little underneath it. The underside of the hair is not going to be super smooth because the saran wrap is going to have some wrinkles in it. If you can get it so there's no wrinkles in your saran wrap, you're like my hero, because you can get it pretty good sometimes, but rarely is it wrinkle free. And so now I'm going to be adding her eyes with white acrylic. Like I said, I wanted this to really have a sort of cartoony appearance, so I gave her really large eyes that are kind of slanted down, like she's a little sad. And I imagine you would be sad if all of a sudden your hair fell off and your brains were exposed. That'd be unfortunate. And I'm going to be adding her eyelids with more of the cover pink. So I'm going to add a bead around it, and then when I do eyelids, I just set the bead down and then sort of press it up against the eye and wrap it around, if that makes sense. It's there, and then you just sort of wrap it around. And I'm just going to do upper eyelids. I'm not going to worry about lower eyelids. And then I'm going to add her nose. Set the bead down and then pull it up between her eyes and push it from side to side until it fits in properly. And now I'm going to be doing some details with black. So I'm going to paint the shape of her brains. So there's a series of U's. Some of the U's are upside down, some of them are right side up. So you just want to do a U, and then they interlock the series of U's. So it's not exactly just squiggle lines. You want to do them so that they're like the outline of squiggles, if that makes sense, to do all this brain matter. So that's the upside down U's and then the right side up U's. And they just sort of tuck into each other, if that makes sense. I hope it does, because at the moment I can't think of a better way to explain it. And then I'm going to be adding some details to her face with black paint, like outlining her eyes. I'm not going to do an entire outline, just a partial outline, and then give her some eyelashes. Give her sad eyebrows. Outline her nose. Outline between her neck and her chin. And then do just a little bit of outlining of her lips. And then I added her pupils at this point, which was kind of stupid because they get messed up as soon as you put the color in her eyes. And I'm going to be giving her green eyes, once again, like mine. So you can choose any color you want. You could fashion this after somebody. That would be kind of funny, like if you did your sister or something, do it, or your daughter, or what have you. And then I'm going to be highlighting the brains with some pink paint. And I'm sorry that my camera decided that it would rather focus on my fingers instead of the nail. Sometimes it just does that. There we go. Now we're in focus. And so just make sure that you have a little bits of pink in there. And now I'm going to be fixing up the pupils. And also with the pink, I filled in her lips. Kind of missed saying that. And then I'm going to outline between her brains and her hairline. And I'm going to add a couple highlights with white. So I'm going to highlight her eyes and then on the brain. And then apply matte top coat over her face and her neck. And then a gel sealer over the background, over her eyes, and over the brains. Anything you want to look wet. So I want her eyes to look like they're wet because that's going to make them look a little bit more living, and over the brains as well. Once that is cured, I'm going to set her hair on her, and then I'm going to add some black details to the hair. So I'm going to define the part and then the braid, or braids. And then with some gel top coat that's mixed with glitter, which is sort of a like a auburn colored glitter. I'm going to add some highlights in her hair. Going to paint that on with a little brush and then throw that into my lamp and cure it. And usually with glitter, I like my glitter and my nail product to be separate and mix them together myself as I'm using them, and only mix what I need to, which is what I did here. So I just took some glitter and mixed in with my gel sealer, and it works out really well. And then I'm going to apply another layer of gel sealer over the hair. This is going to help smooth out the glitter so it's not so rough and make it nice and shiny. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this design. Please share any recreations with me on Facebook and Instagram. I would love to see them. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!